Good afternoon, legends. I'm back on the VN again, once again, because I'm trying to jam this thing out and actually get this finished. So I have, let's say, like this video is going to go up this Friday, right? Next Friday's video, it's going to be running, I think. So next week's video, I'll do like wiring and stuff. But this week, I'm going to basically go over the whole car and get it ready, get it oil in it, and you know what I mean, make sure it's to the point where it's ready to start, because I've still got a fair bit to do, even though, yeah, we've been ticking jobs off. It's very time consuming doing all this little crap, I will say. So I'll run over quickly what I have done. We've got the fake muffler tucked up in there. It's probably not going to stay like that because it's just zip tied and that's not going to cut it. So, yeah, I'll probably actually weld that in there before I am finished. But yeah, actual exhaust back on. So this end of the fuel system's all done as well. So up in the boot, I've got, I mean, I'll run over it in a minute, but 2 relays up there. So the 2 relays are actually fed from a relay in the engine bay. So I'm just running the standard, what would have actually been the standard fuel pump wire that ran to the back of the car. I just ran that to the relay, to the 2 relays in the boot here. And obviously with this setup, I've pretty much, like, I want to minimize how far or how much voltage drop sort of thing. You can imagine the longer the cable, the more voltage drop it's going to have. In this case, the relays are mounted within 0.5 meter of the battery. So relays nice and close to the battery, relays nice and close to the fuel pumps. So yeah, we're minimizing voltage drop here. So relays done, wiring done. As you can see here, I need to clean it up a little bit more probably, but if this light is not terrible, I need to clean it up a little bit more, put some more heat shrink and whatnot on it. Probably some more, yeah, I don't know, more conduit and stuff there, but earthed. Like the earth's nice and short, just to the body up here. That's obviously the actives from the relays up in the boot. Fuel pump plumbing is done. So this one here, not done, because I'm just going to cap that one for now, and I'm going to run just 1 relay. So I'll just leave 1 relay unplugged, so 1 pump will not be powered. Because yeah, if you remember last video, I said about how I'm only going to run a single pump into the rail for now, just to get it running. So single pump is plumbed up into the standard fuel lines. So there's a spare line there, which was the vent standard. That is going to be another feed eventually. So when I do injectors and when I've done everything to get it ready to go for a tune, I will hook up the second fuel pump, and yeah, when it's got ethanol in it, she should be good to go then. There is a few little bits and pieces back here that I really want to do. Whether I'll get to them now or whether I'll get to them once it's running, I'm not sure, but I want to re-angle these bottom bars. So you can see it's running so low now. Those bars have a terrible angle on them. These bars, I want to have at least like some upward angle on the front. So I'm going to add another plate to this with another couple holes in it. So we can, yeah, probably down to here somewhere, so we can get some angle on those bottom bars. But that's pretty much it for underneath here at the back. Front, I've got to sort out some clutch stuff still. That's pretty straightforward, just bolting everything up. And you can see now I have a fresh sump on it. So thanks to one of my viewers, Nathan, hooked me up with a sump. I gave it a paint job and chucked her in with great difficulty though, because I thought, yep, it'll be easy enough to do in the car. And yeah, it was not easy enough to do in the car. I ended up having to lift the motor and whatnot to get it out, but it's out and back in. Fresh, no dent sump. What else have I got to do? The other main job is turbo oil drain. So you can see up there, right? You can see the oil drain kind of up there. Yep, I need to connect that to this sump basically. So I'm going to modify this fitting, and I'm going to make it reasonably straight shot down there, just using some stainless tube. So I'll bend that, we'll make some modifications here and there, and yeah, basically it'll just come down there, little snake through, and then straight down with a 90 on the end here into this. Like I said, I'm going to cut this off and modify that. You can obviously run AN lines on this sort of thing. I have never ran AN lines. I like the ease to be able to just, yeah, use a bit of hose, like off the shelf sort of hose to do it. Obviously not using like heater hose or fuel hose or anything. You still use proper like heat rated hose, but I've always done my turbo oil drains like this, so I'm going to continue doing them like this. Don't change what isn't broken, right? Yeah, next job, the biggest job for this week's video, the tail shaft. So this is a Skyline tail shaft. I think this might be an R33 tail shaft perhaps. So it's got the right front yoke on it that I need. This is the VN tail shaft. So it has wrong length, wrong yoke, etc. I'm going to do what I do best and dodgy this up myself. So what I'm going to do is just basically lop these off, work out a little spacer, basically machine up a spacer of some description, and weld the two together. Sounds pretty simple, probably not that simple. So pretty much what I'm hoping to do is the diameter of this is obviously smaller than the diameter of this, but this will either go inside of here nicely with a spacer. I'll be able to machine something and weld the two together, or I'm going to have to cut this one off here and cut this to the right length and weld that onto there. Now, if you're doing this at home, probably don't, but I'm going to because I like to do these dodgy things. The balancing of this, I'm not really that concerned about because it is such a short tail shaft. So that's the center bearing mount, and that's the back of the gearbox. So that is the datum point that I'm using for the car to measure the length that this tail shaft here needs to be. So I'm going to grab a tape measure and measure that length there, and we'll work out from there how much we need to cut off, what the plan is moving forward. So if we go like this, we'll go, I'm not going to go to the seal face, or will I? No, I will go to the seal face. All right, so seal face in there. So if the tail shaft, the front yoke is pushed all the way in, all the way up until to the seal, that's not how long it will be in the end, but we'll just use that as a measurement for now, right? We'll go 485 or 480. 485. Hang on, let's go like that. Let's go 480. Yep, 480 looks good to me. And then we'll probably take 10 mil off of that at least so that it sits out like that. So let's say that face, so 470 to that center bearing. Bingo bango. So now we know that this face here, at the most, right, or least, whatever, whichever way you want to look at it. So this face here, to this hole here needs to be 470. That allows me 10 mil of, you know what I mean, to be 10 mil shorter than it actually could be. We might take another 5 mil off of that. Tail shaft places take a lot more off than that, but sometimes you get a tail shaft back from being made and you put it in and you think, that could have definitely been 10 or 15 mil longer, even though you gave them the measurement, like the correct measurement. They've just gone, oh, we'll take 20 mil off of that or whatever. So anyway, let's, chop this and we'll get this sat in there and we'll just make sure that all our measurements are right and we'll go from there. All right, so 33 front half of tail shaft. You can see it does in fact slide all the way in, but we want to finish up with this probably sitting about there. I think I'd feel good. So plenty of engagement of that tail shaft on the output shaft of the gearbox. But yeah, I reckon that's probably a good spot to start. Obviously this gearbox doesn't have, normally these have like a, is that gonna hang there? Normally these have like a little like dust cover over the back of them. So that obviously isn't on this one. I've knocked that off just so I can get a good reference and get it sitting in a good position there. All right, I've marked my 465, which I'm going for. Center of the bolt hole, the center bearing, to the, say, that where the output shaft sits in relation to the front yoke on the tail shaft. So I'm going to chop that one through there. And I'm going to chop that one through there, and then I'm going to work out what I can do and make up a spacer, basically just to weld the two together. Obviously making this spacer, everything's going to be like a press fit, nice and tight, so it's not, it doesn't have an option to be misaligned anywhere, because you don't just want to go chop a tail shaft anyhow, like on any, you know what I mean, any angle or anything, and just weld it together, because you want it to be somewhat balanced. But I'm also going to mark this before I cut it, because obviously when we want to keep the yoke center line in line sort of thing where it is. So I'm going to mark this yoke center line here, so we can make sure we line those two front yokes back up when they go back together. Done. Weld it together. Okay, so you see what I mean? You're not just going to weld it together like that, are you? I definitely didn't cut that straight at all, but I will clean this up. We'll get this in a lathe, get that face clean this up, get that cleaned up, whether I end up lopping that off all the way. But once we make something up, we'll be ending up welding it together just like that. I do have to take a little bit more off of that. You see I didn't cut it on the line because when I machine it, I'll probably part it off or something, and I just want a little bit to play with. I don't just want to be chopping it off with a grinder on an angle, because I cut these nice and straight. Definitely cut them nice and straight. So here you can see it a little bit better, obviously. The 465 that I want to end up with here, between roughly there and that center bolt, that center bearing bolt. So we've got a little bit to take out of it, but you can see where we're going with it. She'll be right. But in the meantime, bin. And also, once again, if you are going to attempt this at home, do not do it with single piece tail shafts. The only reason I am doing it and giving it a crack, I've definitely done it before. The only reason I'm doing it is because, like I said, it's only 465mm long. The out of balance that you're going to get with that is not crazy, right? So yeah, it'll be fine with a short tail shaft. If you're doing it at home, it has to be machined faces. Everything has to be very, very close to being balanced. Just, like I said, it just won't be balanced, but I'm still making it at home in the shed. It's just, just won't be balanced. It's going to be good otherwise though. All right, let's fast forward a little bit. I have machined up one, this is just a bit of mild steel. So basically this is my little adapter that I'm going to go from this yoke to this tail shaft. So I'm going to get the heat gun and I'm going to warm this up enough so that it slips over that nicely, and it will slip into that nicely. There's not much to it. Basically I made it so that it's strong enough to you know what I mean, be thicker than some tail shaft tube, and nice tight fit on this, nice tight fit on this, so that I can get it all square before I weld it up. So I'm going to jump into cutting that to the right length, and then we'll make that fit, that and that, and hopefully it's going to be that easy. Chuck her in, bingo bango. So that is now press fitted, whacked it on. And this is the most important piece. Measure 18 times, cut once. So I've re-measured the 465mm from that center to where we want to go here, 465. Now I've made the insert so this will sit into this 40mm. And I've worked out where we want to cut it, just there, because I need that, I mean, you can't see it, there's a mark there. That's where I want to have this sit when it's complete. So now we're gonna cut this one, so I've measured it and marked it all the way around, measured off of this face. So it's going to be within, I don't know, very close anyway. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be pretty well spot on. And that's going to be important to make sure we get the right balance on this very unbalanced tail shaft. And there she is. Fits perfect. Obviously, I've still got to take it out and weld it up. But yeah, I'll grab it out in a minute. I might run a few T-tacks on it and then I'll MIG it up, I think. Yeah, like I said, it's not balanced, but in saying that, if I wanted to get it balanced, I could take it somewhere and get it balanced because it'll be pretty close. But yeah, I'm not fussed. 465mm long shaft between the like output of the gearbox and the center bearing. There's yeah, there's not going to be too many vibrations from it, I don't think. So I've done this before, and I'll do it again. So I've got some tacks on it now. My plan from here is I'm going to go spin this up on a lathe and chuck a dial indicator on it and just make sure that it is in fact square before I go ahead and weld it, so that I know that it's not going to yeah, cause a vibration in the driveline. So I'm going to do that, weld it, and then we'll cut back to here, get it back in the car with some paint on it, and yeah, get to the next job. One more piece to the puzzle. Turbo oil drain, back to the sump, back to the block. I've gone a hard line because I like, yeah, like I touched on it before, I just like the least amount of AN fittings, the better sort of thing. Not that they're a bad thing, but I just like to minimize, like, you're better off to have a hard line than an AN line or AN fitting, I think, in my opinion. But yeah, it was very time consuming. I didn't film it because it's been in and out 385 times to get it just in the right spot. So, but it is sitting nice. So just waiting for it to cool down a bit, and then I'll chuck it back in and we'll have a look. Perfecto. Made for it. So I haven't got the rear half of the tail shaft in yet, only the front half bolted in so I can get some oil in the gearbox. Rear half not in because I have to do some work on the diff. Still waiting on the axle. So yeah, under here, we're pretty well done other than, like I said, diff work. I'll just run over, I just have to tighten up these couple fittings first. So turbo oil drain is done. Turbo's all bolted in. Intercooler pipes are got some clamps on them now. I haven't done this side yet because just ticking off a few jobs as I go through. We have some belts. Belts are on. Yeah, I've just got to hook up some heater lines. And I think that part's done. We can put some water in it. I'm just waiting for, I attempted to paint the rocker cover again. Did a shit job of it once again. So I'm just waiting for that to dry and then I'll put some engine oil in it. But yeah, we're getting there. So close now. So I'm going to wrap this up here. Make sure you hit the subscribe button to stay up to date because next week I'm turning the key. It's going to run next week. Fingers crossed, hopefully. Yeah, so thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next week.